Hi, Aamod.
Hi, Piyu. Eshaa.
Please tell the world how you know me and why you call me Piyu.
So, Piyu, you are my cousin,
Hmm.
uh, which should be, which you should know. So, Piyu is my
Hmm.
cousin, and we know each other since basically we were
When,
born.
yeah.
There is a 1 year difference, but it's not noticeable. It's like friends. We, I call you Piyu because at
Everybody
home
at home
everyone
calls me
calls.
Piyu.
Yeah,
We have no idea why, by
nicknames.
the way.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah,
I have no clue.
neither
We
do
just
I, so
called
it's
you
okay.
Piyu.
I think everybody just accepted it. No, I think there's a
Yeah,
story behind it. I feel so. Ira, who's our other cousin,
yeah,
was called Chinu. And
Chinu.
then
Yeah,
when I was born, she said, if my name is Chinu, if you call me Chinu, then we have to call her Piyu. And I feel like that's why everybody started calling me Piyu at home.
hmm.
And it's very confusing, also irritating when my friends call me Piyu because
Yes.
yeah, it's like no, it's something that my grandparents call me. You cannot call me. You better call me Isha.
You're very possessive about the name Piyu.
Yes, I am very possessive about it. I own it. It's my name.
Yes, it's your name.
Yes.
And your family is
Yeah,
the only people who can call you that
you
and
can
no
call
one
me that.
else.
Yes, exactly. So, you and I have been very close as cousins since we were kids, but I feel like you, I mean, when you stayed in Thane, I feel like we met a lot. Before that, you were in Pune,
Yeah.
but then you went
Mhm.
off to Lucknow, and that's when we lost touch.
Yes.
But in the recent years, when you moved back to Thane, and then when I used to come to Thane, we started meeting a lot, and eventually we are now in the
Yeah,
same college, which is really cool.
it is. Slightly
And
irritating, but let's
slightly
go with cool.
yeah, but I feel like our bond is such that we know what irritates like us about each other, and yet we just
Yeah,
accept it and move on,
yeah.
which
We
I
can
think
get
is
to that
cool.
in some
We
point.
can
Can be a different episode.
can be
This,
a different episode. The nuances of
yeah.
this, whatever.
Mhm.
Cool. So I was originally supposed to go to UIUC, but
Which
um,
is
which
University
is
of,
University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. But I ended up
yes,
coming to UMass Amherst, and one of the main reasons were that you also go to the same university.
I do.
And I'm glad I made that decision because we genuinely have a lot of fun.
We actually do have a lot of fun. And I
Yes,
feel
and
like,
please continue.
yeah, I had more fun after you joined the
I
university than I did the year before.
I take it as a huge compliment.
Yes, you should.
Yes, I do. But I feel like one of the strongest memories or experiences that I've had with you and at university, apart from the
Hmm.
everyday conversations and everything else,
Yeah.
is that when I was coming back to UMass from New York, just
Yeah.
right after the Thanksgiving break, I my mom was here, and then I dropped her at the airport, and I took the same bus to um, Amherst, and I
Back
think
to college. Yeah.
yeah, to our college. And it was supposed to snow, but we just didn't
Hmm.
like they told us that there was a snowstorm that was expected, but we just didn't know how bad it was going to be. um,
Yeah.
and on my way to Amherst, let's say about halfway through the distance, it started snowing, and it started snowing bad,
Hmm.
like towards the end of it. Like I reached Northampton, and it was so cold and the snow was so deep that the bus had to stop because the engine literally froze and stopped working.
Yeah.
And they just abandoned us. Like the driver said, okay, now you're going to have to figure out your own transport. And I was like, okay, fine, I'm going to call Aamod. And that's when I called you, and you Ubered to God knows where. Like
I'll tell you what happened from my side. I was
yeah.
supposed to work that night, and I remember you sent me a snap on the way back home, and you were like, "Oh, it's snowing." You sent me a picture, and I was like, "Cool, nice." She's excited, first snow and all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, nice." And then the next call I get from you, I was expecting, "He like I'm
I'm
here.
almost there. Kiva, huh?
Yeah, I think I decided that I'll come pick you up and help
Huh?
with the bag and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So I was like, okay, she's here maybe. And then you're like, Amod, so the bus is sort of stuck and I'm here. And I was like, where here? And she's like, I have no
I
clue where
don't
I
know.
am. And it was literally in the middle of nowhere. You had to
Yeah,
like leave the highway
yeah. And
and just
then
like
there was
go
an
to a random place.
intersection which you had to like. Yeah, it was literally in the middle of nowhere. There was some eerie hospitally building which was
Yeah,
next to the highway, which was completely abandoned. By the way, we have no idea
yeah,
why.
exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, and it was
I
a
was under the
weekday.
impression that the hospital would be open. And I
Exactly.
remember thinking, why is she not
And
going inside the hospital? It'll be warmer.
yeah, and
It
it
was
was a
closed.
hospital. You expect it to be
Yeah,
open,
yeah.
but it
Oh
wasn't.
God.
And then you came, and then the
Oh,
Uber
in
driver told
conversation with
you,
the Uber driver, yeah,
yes,
I told him that, see, I'm gonna go to this place because my cousin is stuck there. So it's going to be a round trip. So are you willing to bring me back? Because
yeah,
if not, I'm not going to get into your car because I don't want
yeah,
to be stuck there either. He's like, yes, I will. And then we drove there. And he was actually a nice guy. Like we were talking and everything. And we got there. It took quite some time to find you because you
yeah,
were
yeah,
literally in the middle of
middle of
nowhere.
nowhere.
Like you had to
And
get
then the
off
only
the
thing that
highway
you
and
had was my Google pin and my
yeah,
location, and that's how you
yeah,
traced me. Yeah.
that's all. And I remember like when I was leaving from my building, I had to call like, hey, take my shift tonight. Thank you. Emergency. And then I had one packet of what did I bring?
Gummy bears. No, Fruit Loops.
No, it
No,
was
no.
Mike
Uh,
Sykes.
yeah,
I don't actually know what it's called. I just call it Mike Sykes.
yeah.
It's like
Fruit snacks.
jellies.
You had fruit snacks.
Oh, I had fruit snack.
Fruit
Yeah.
snacks. Yeah.
So that was the only thing I had at that time, or I think I bought it from the vending machine and I just ran out. I got into Uber. The Uber driver was like, yes, of course I'm gonna drop you.
Yeah.
It's like you have to help each other out. And I was like,
Yeah.
nice guy, you know.
Will save my
And then
life.
we yeah, and then I got there. I actually passed your bus. It was on the ramp
Right.
where we couldn't stop. So I had to like go ahead, stop, and then walk back. And I remember the snow was almost reaching the knees at the
Yes.
sides of the
Yes.
roads where it was piled up.
Exactly.
And I walked to
I
you.
was in flip flops because that's
Yeah,
what New York temperature was, and yeah,
flip flop. Oh my god.
but it's okay. And then the Uber driver told you that he's not going to take us back.
Yeah, and I was like, we went ahead and stopped, and I was like, hey dude, 5 minutes. There's the bus right there. I'm gonna like grab her bags, and we'll come back. And at that point, the Uber driver, I think he changed his mind during the trip because like throughout the trip, there was like slippery parts and the car
Right.
almost slipped out
Right.
like multiple times. It was just a treacherous drive. And I think he changed his mind and he was like,
Right.
bye.
Yeah.
And he just
and
left.
and
He
I
straight
think
up
then
left.
you had no idea where my bag was, right? Like you had no idea how complicated that situation was.
The bus was right alongside
The
the
rail.
edge of the road where they had the fence, and
Right.
he had to open it. And oh
Yeah,
my
and
god,
the bag was, of course, I mean, as luck would have it, in the
the,
middle of the entire compartment, and it was filled
yes,
because my mother came and like she knew that I was going to cook on my birthday, which was like a
yeah,
week away. So she had
mhm,
given me a cooker because I was going to make curry and rice. So there was a
yeah,
cooker in the bag, there was rice in the bag, and there were multiple clothes and shoes in the bag. So the
yeah,
bag, let's just say, weighed at least 21 kgs and was in the middle of the bag thing, and we had to climb in from two sides. We
like
had to push other
yeah,
bags, and then we had to take the bag out, like figuring out a way to keep our lives because because the bus was literally sticking to the railing, which
yeah,
was next to a valley. I mean, yeah,
yeah. There was like a
yeah,
steep thing down there. Yeah,
yeah. But we found a way to take the bag out without dying, and then we realized, oh, the bag is heavy, snow is calf like towards reaching
yeah.
our knees, so we have to somehow figure out a way to like move
Roll
the
the
bag.
bag.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which was hard itself, and then we were stranded for about 45 minutes figuring out a
yes.
way to
And
go back.
I remember we looked for Uber's lifts,
Everything that was
and
possible.
everything. firstly, I don't think we had any range there for our
Yeah,
phones. It was like inconsistent, and whenever I was getting range, it showed no cars around because that was the night that predicted the snowstorm. So
snowstorm.
people were
People
not
weren't
driving.
out. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I remember at one point I started calling up my friends, but because it
Friends,
was just
right.
the end of Thanksgiving, most of them weren't
Were
on
on
campus
their
yet.
way back. Or
Yeah,
yeah,
they were
yeah.
on their way back, or
So
they
they
were
had
just at
cars
home. Yeah. And I remember the university had told us to either come a day before or just come after the snowstorm.
after, right?
So
And
not
I
many
came
people
on the day of the snowstorm.
on the day of the snowstorm. The one day the university was like, please don't come
Please don't
back.
come.
That one day you come.
Yeah,
I remember we were like stressed and it started getting cold very quickly.
right. And
And
then
we were like
and
eating the
fruit snacks from your bag, hoping that that would survive, like help us survive for the night. And I think
yeah,
I remember we started searching for motels or inns
yeah,
or
we did.
something of
Yeah,
that sort, and then
where we could
we
go and stay. Yeah.
yeah, just for the night. And then we realized that the bus is leaving, that there's like another substitute bus that did come,
But the driver did not tell anyone
tell
about it.
anyone. And then we started running towards the bus hoping that we would make it, and
But we
just
didn't.
but we didn't. And then we had to beg the mechanic to let us in the bus so that we
Yeah,
can just not be cold.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
he drove us to the abandoned hospital building
Parking lot, which
parking
is
lot.
very shady now that I think
Yeah.
about it.
Which is and then we were in the bus for about 30 minutes trying to figure out if there's anybody who can
Yeah,
come and
and then I
get us,
just
and
called
there
up a
was.
bunch of people with cars,
Yes, and
and
Thomas
most of
showed
them were
up.
away.
Most
Yeah,
of them were
Thomas was
away.
my friend. Yeah, Thomas was my friend. He was like my last resort because I don't know him that well. I didn't want
Right.
to like, I wanted to call other people first, and then I was like, okay, now I'll call him. I
But
called
tell,
him.
can you like, I just want you to tell everyone and me again, um, which car did he show up in, Aamod?
He showed up in a Tesla Model S.
And
Yeah,
which
that's the
was
car he
complete,
has.
that because that's a car he has. And then I think so you told me he's coming and I was like, okay. And then he showed up at the speed of, let's say, 120 miles per hour, just bursting into the driveway, and we are like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna go home.
See, I
That's
was
all we care
expecting
about.
it. Yeah, I was expecting the car. I remember you were so shocked. You were
Yeah,
just like, Amod.
he has a
Um,
Tesla. He's here in a Tesla.
and I remember when I called him, I was expecting him to be like like he has an apartment, so I was expecting him to be like in his house, being lazy and stuff. He was just randomly studying at a Tesla charging station out in Hadley. Hadley is this place that's like close to Northampton. Like halfway
Right.
between the campus and
Campus and
Northampton is where he
Northampton.
was. He was just randomly at a charging station studying,
Right.
and I was like,
And he was checking his tires or playing, I don't know, he wanted
he's doing
to,
something with his car.
yeah, yeah. and
I was
and
like,
then
you chose a middle of a snowstorm to do this. Could
yeah,
not wait till tomorrow.
yeah. And he said he actually likes that. And once we were actually in the car, he said, I think it's the perfect time and the perfect place to, like, check out the tires, like just go fast and then slow and
Yeah,
just try
yeah,
skidding. And then both of us like, please just drop us,
yeah.
please,
You
and
can do
then
the
do
skidding
whatever
after
you
you
do.
drop us off.
Yes, exactly. And but
And
but
he did do like
a
some
couple of
things on the
things,
way back.
right? Yeah, and hence encouraged my heart rate to go up quite quickly.
Yeah, he was like speeding and slowing down. I remember there was this one turn we had to take, and like the it was empty, like everything was
Right,
empty,
right,
and you had to take a left turn, and he just like sort of did that, and the car just slid and
right.
turned. Like
Yeah,
he didn't have to do it. He was
he
like,
didn't
I'm
have
not
to do
accelerating
anything.
right now.
Yeah,
I'm not even accelerating.
yeah.
I'm just turning, and the car is going on its own. It's just sliding around the ground.
But it was like the night was quite scary. I mean, outside, all you could see was like a blurry, milky
Yeah, it
scenery,
was
and
just
then that
all
was literally it.
yeah, and no one was on the streets
No
except for
one
that
was on
one
the
car
street.
which got stuck. Do you remember
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
on the
uphill?
side. Yeah.
And
but
I
we
felt
made it
very thankful that we were in a Tesla in that at that point
at
of
that
time,
point of
because that
time, right?
car was struggling to go up, and he could have been like the car would have had to be abandoned that night,
Right. And
or
there was
someone
no
had
way
to be
for
called
him
in.
to go home as well.
Exactly, and like that dude was stuck too, and I was thankful that our car just like casually just drove by.
Yeah. But Thomas was a good guy, and like
Yeah,
I'm glad
he's a
that
great guy.
he was around. Otherwise, we would have, died.
Had to stay at like
Right.
in some shady motel, and
Which
the
was
next day
20
catch an
minutes
Uber.
away, and we would
Yeah,
have, yeah, we would have to drag the bag
yeah, the entire way, and there
the
was snow
entire way.
all on the ground. So like
Yeah, it was
rolling a bag around on concrete is
it was
fine.
going
In
to take us
snow,
an
it
hour
becomes
minimum.
yeah.
Yeah, and we were absolutely not dressed for the winter. Like,
We
yeah,
were not,
we were
and I
far
was
away
not
from
expecting to stay out in. So what I was expecting was sit in that car, go there, help her pick her bags up, sit back in the car, and come
come
back. So
home.
I wasn't
Right.
wearing the coldest, like
Clothes.
the
Yeah.
warmest clothes. That was like a medium warm
Yeah.
jacket that I was wearing.
Fall weather. Like you were dressed
Yeah,
for
it was a
fall
fall
weather.
weather jacket.
Right.
Exactly, and it was much colder than fall weather,
Yeah.
even for when it was snowing. Like
I
usually it's
think
not
it
that
was the
cold when it
coldest
snows.
night. I think it was the coldest night of the semester. I think that and the next day
I
were
think
the
it was,
coldest
yeah.
nights. And but we
Hmm.
made it back home, and then we realized that we
We
were
went to
extremely hungry. So
hungry.
I think we dropped my stuff in my room, and then
Yeah,
we picked two
walk.
sachets of Szechuan sauce, Ching's Szechuan sauce, and then we,
Szechuan chutney.
yeah, chutney, not even sauce, chutney. And then we just ran to Wooster and had sushi and whatever. I think, yeah. And
I
then
think I
then
had
then
pizza that night.
all of our collective parents started calling us because we hadn't
Oh yeah,
informed them about what had happened, and then that is when we started informing them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think
It would be pointless to tell them before. They would just worry.
yeah, yeah, unnecessarily. Like it's better to tell them, hey, this happened, but I'm alive, I'm okay, I'm
Yeah,
eating,
I'm
I'm going to
okay.
sleep, classes start tomorrow, than just like, oh, this is happening, and you can do nothing about it because you live in a
Yeah,
different time
exactly.
zone altogether.
So yeah, I
But
actually had like I told my friends on campus that I'm going to such and such place, and if I don't call my like I was supposed to call my parents that night, and if I hadn't called, they would have like probably been worried and checked. So like if I had actually not been able to call them, they would have called my
right,
friends. So like I had told them to tell my parents that this is happening
right,
in case I couldn't
in
call.
case,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. And then after dinner, we realized that it was an interesting, adventurous, tiresome day.
Hmm.
So
I think
we,
we discussed it that day that we should talk about this on your podcast.
yes,
Like I think we mentioned it that
we
day too.
mentioned it, and then we were like, okay, one fine day we will tell the story.
Yes.
Yes. And I think I remember we were in your room, and
Mhm.
I was just sitting looking at my hand because it was red and frozen, and
Yeah.
somehow managing to keep it together. And
Yeah.
I was sending my father photos of my hand, and and you looked at me and said, okay, this is the time when you are allowed to cry, like you can cry right now for hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I know, I think I'm past that threshold of crying. Like I feel like I'm beyond crying now. I'm just amused about how red my hand looks at this point.
And yeah. Oh, another thing I just remember when we were stuck there, I remember we had to like take out the phone, just
Right.
try some things, and then put our hands back in our pockets immediately because it was so
Immediately,
cold.
right. And I remember like our fingers weren't moving because it was so
Yeah.
cold, and we had to literally move our index
Like
finger up and down to
yeah,
actually,
the
and
entire hand. Yeah.
entire hand. And it was really
And
irritating because
your
this
debit card failed, I think.
my debit card failed and it
And that was the
wasn't
entire reason
working.
I had to come there. Like,
Exactly.
oh God.
And anyways, I think it was just written that this story was written. We had to
Yeah.
learn and face whatever. But I
Mhm.
feel like, but this is not the only story where
It's not.
where things have been interesting. I think I remember the other
Definitely not.
other other two stories that I remember were like the night I was cooking, the night of my birthday, and I was
Yeah.
trying to cook for 20 people. and
I
we
remember.
went shopping on the previous day, and accidentally, or I feel like it was the first time we were actually cooking for 20 people.
Yeah.
We did not know how much chicken to buy, and
Yeah.
we ended up buying 5 pairs of chicken breasts for 20 people. So we ended up buying 10 chicken breasts, and actually
Hmm.
used around 4 or 5.
Yeah. See
And
what
then,
happened to the rest of the chicken breasts.
oh, I gave it to somebody.
Okay. Cool.
So they were used. They were
Yeah.
used. And that is when I realized that, like, okay, so the building that I was living in did not have the best functional kitchen. And
Yeah.
maybe cooking for 20 people on that night wasn't the best idea, because I
Hmm.
had a meeting with my professor till 6:30. So I started
Oh, I
cooking,
remember.
and people were supposed to show up at 8, because
Yeah.
after that it was going to be very difficult to sign people in.
Right.
So I started cooking, and that is when I realized, oh, I don't have a knife. So I'm going to have to use the knife that I just got out of the dining hall, which is
Yeah.
absolutely not sharp. Figure out
It's
a
not a
way.
cutting knife.
It
Like,
is not a cutting knife. So I had to figure out a way to use that to cut an onion, to cut tomatoes, to cut
oh my
garlic, to
God.
cut ginger. And after that, I realized to make chicken curry, you need a blender or a mixer or a spice grinder. What I had was a Wonder Chef, like, vegetable chopper, which
Oh my
was
God.
manual. Like, the string kind, you pull it and then it like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
chops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I spent about a good 20 minutes just trying to get things into a fine paste.
Paste. Yeah.
Yeah, and but your friend Anvita helped me, and then when we were actually cooking the rice and trying to figure out a way to measure how much rice we'll need
Hmm.
for about 20 people, that is
Hmm.
when I realized that I don't have enough time to cook rice for 20 people, because I don't have a big enough utensil to cook it in.
It'll
Then
have to be cooked in batches and utna
batches,
time
which,
nahi hai.
yeah, yeah, there was no time. So then and then this is evidence again that my Hindi is as bad as um, the weather that night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I called you, and then you figured out a way to bring 8 cups,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
cups, not bowls,
And by
but
cups we
cups,
mean the paper coffee cups that you have, like the takeaway cups that you get in like
in
Starbucks,
the
for
dining
example. We
hall,
had those
right?
in the dining hall. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
So
you to
we
take away coffee and
but we took rice, and then
took
you figured
rice.
out a way to steal 8 cups of rice
Hmm.
from Wooster, and then you
Yeah.
put it in your bag, and like you were
It
carrying
was
towards the
not
kitchen.
just bag. Like the
Every
cups were heavy because it was rice. So I could
right,
only stack like four in my
four
bag
of them, and then the
without them
others
like
were you were
toppling over.
just holding in your hand,
Yeah, two in my hand, pockets made like
pocket.
everywhere.
Yeah,
It was
everywhere.
so awkward getting the rice because it's at the stir fry line. So the thing that has the rice has a person standing right next to it. Like the
Right next to it,
employee
watching
is
you,
right next to it. Yeah, because
and judging you for the amount of carbohydrates you are ingesting.
yes, and I just took a plate and I just went for it like
Yeah,
4 or 5 scoops, and I took like 4 or 5 scoops like that 3 or 4 times. I
yeah.
refilled that plate that many times, and by this third time I was just like, I don't care. You can judge
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. You
I'm
you
paying
you've
for
been
this
judging
food.
me for the last 10 minutes. Continue doing that for the next 20 as well.
Yeah, I'm paying for this food. I don't need to deal with your judgment right now.
Yeah. And then but we had a good time, and then
Hmm.
we we actually played the songs that we really liked, and we chose the songs, like we chose what kind of songs we were going to listen to, which
Yeah.
is something that we quite often do,
Hmm.
which is something that I really really like. I
Yeah.
don't think um people think about, like, to an extent, about the music and the mood and how it has to match.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's just, like, it adds so much to the entire thing,
Experience. Yeah.
experience. I remember, like, the like 3 4 days or a week rather before we were supposed to come back home for winter break.
Hmm.
um we met at around 8:30, and we ordered food, and then we decided, okay, we're going to prepare a playlist that will last us for about 7 hours,
Yeah.
or 13 hours rather, on our way
For
back
the
home,
flight back
for the
home.
flight
Yeah.
back home. And then it was a beautiful combination of trashy songs, Bollywood songs, Coke Studio songs,
Coke
Urdu
Studio songs. Yeah,
ghazals,
yeah.
quality jazz music, rock. It had
Hmm.
everything. And I
Just
remember, like, towards the end we were so homesick that we actually picked out 5 songs that we were going to listen to in the last 10 minutes of the flight, like when we
yeah, I
could see
remember
Bombay and the flight was landing, but we still knew that there were
landing.
10 minutes with us, and we're like, okay, we
Yeah,
need to hype it up right now. And that,
hyper. Yeah, like
yeah,
this is happening. This is
this
happening.
is happening. And then, yeah, and it was, for me in the flight it was quite dramatic because the timer was showing it's 10 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I need to bring out the 10 minutes playlist, so I took
10-minute
that out and
playlist.
I started playing that.
Hmm.
It was quite
That was a
wonderful.
nice. That was nice. We
Yeah.
also like hung out with music playlists in mind. We
Yeah.
used to like often say, like Thursday we're hanging out. We'll like play Coke Studio songs that day. We'll play
Yeah.
these types of songs that day.
Songs. Yeah.
It was mostly Coke Studio, but like
But like other there were days when we weren't in a quite vulnerable mood where we did play Honey Singh,
trash Bollywood.
Trash Bollywood.
And I remember the person who lived like above my room
Yeah.
was also Indian. Her name is
Yeah.
Ankita, and I always like kept the speaker pointed up at the window so
Yeah.
she could also enjoy the trashy Bollywood experience.
And then I remember one day we were in your room and we were, let's just say, not in the most conscious state.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
we called your friend and we started dancing in front of her, Trisha.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And then we called my friend and then we
Hmm.
placed them next to each other, and
Next to
I
each
was
other.
next to each other. I was talking to my friend Anoli and you were talking to your friend Prisha. Both of them could
Hmm.
hear each other, but we were still dancing in front of them to trashy
Yeah,
Bollywood music.
yeah, I remember. Not not that well, but I remember.
Yeah. And then do you want to talk about our obsession with your friend's mixer and how sometimes we just go into the dining hall and then come out with like 7 to 8 cups of
Ice.
nothing but ice,
Yeah.
cucumbers, Canada Dry, and
Once
lemon,
strawberries.
strawberries. One strawberries, but we realized like the chemistry of strawberry and certain spirits just don't go well, and
It
hence
doesn't. It
we
started like
added
frothing up and foaming up.
started frothing up. I think I remember like so, and these were fresh strawberries that they were serving
Fresh
at
cut.
breakfast, fresh cut.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. I'm like,
Okay, we
this
were
is
okay. Wait,
beautiful.
wait, 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 wait. We were not using them at breakfast. We just
Yeah,
got them at breakfast.
yeah, exactly.
It was a late
Yeah,
evening. Okay,
yes, it was a weekday. It wasn't a weekday. It was a
it was
Friday.
not a weekday.
It
It
was
was a
not, and that
Friday.
should
Yeah.
be underlined. It was a Friday, and then like I was having breakfast and I saw those strawberries and I'm like, what a beautiful idea. So I sent you a
Yeah.
picture of the strawberries and we decided, okay, this is what we're going to try. We're going to try mixing different kinds of spirits with those strawberries and then figuring out
Yeah.
a way if it still tastes good. I mean, it's a fresh
Hmm.
fruit cocktail, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what we did. So we got the strawberries, but we realized that none of us had a mixer and none of us knew
Yeah.
people who had mixers. I mean, I had a vegetable chopper, which in hindsight should have been used.
Could have worked. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's fine.
But what we did instead was we put those strawberries in a cup and we started
Hmm.
like mashing them with a fork.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then to make a concoction, we added, I don't know, what did we add? I think it was some really cheap.
Yeah.
Um,
We got it from uh, your roommate. I feel
yeah,
was that like
somebody
there
near.
is the
It was
plastic
in a
bottle
plastic
wala.
bottle. It was in a
Yeah.
plastic bottle. Um, I think it was, yeah, it was in a plastic bottle, and then
Hmm.
it was I think it was middle grade vodka. It wasn't cheap,
Wasn't the
but
most
it was,
expensive, but it wasn't like trashy
yeah.
either.
I mean, you would enjoy it if you just had that. Like it was
Yeah.
that kind. And
Yeah.
then so we started adding that to the strawberries, and they started frothing up. And like both of us, just just we were like, okay, we at this point we don't care. We're just gonna
We were
have
concerned, but like this has
not
money. Like
concerned
we're not
enough.
gonna waste it now.
Yeah. And then we were like, okay, we're gonna have faith in whatever we've made, and
Yeah.
then hope that Canada Dry solves our problems.
It
And
not.
It did not. And then we started pouring Canada Dry into the entire thing, and it started frothing up. And yet we kept whisking it, and yet we kept
Yeah,
drinking
as if
it. And towards the end, we were like,
so bad.
no, let's just not give ourselves alcohol
let's
at
let's
this
drop
point.
this idea.
Let's stop this idea.
Yeah.
And but
And then the
then
next time I found out that I do know some friend who has a mixer.
has a mixer, and that is when we learned. That is when we understood what goes well with what
Yeah.
like in terms of chemistry,
Hmm.
and and what
Yeah.
doesn't give out a chemical reaction. And then I think we
Actually,
started,
so
and
dangerous on like thinking back. That's such a
yeah,
dumb thing to do.
that's a very dumb thing to do, but it's okay.
Yeah.
We're only 20 once, is what eventually I keep telling myself.
No, you are 21.
I am 20. I will be 21 in a while.
21. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you just realize that.
Yes, you did, huh? Anyway, so but with time we realized that it is a good idea to
Mhm.
mix cucumbers, lemon,
Yeah.
Canada Dry, a lot of ice, a little bit of honey,
Hmm.
and gin, and
Yeah.
then put it all in a mixer, and then just let it go, and
It
then
actually
drink it.
tasted fine.
It
Yeah.
tastes. I really liked it. I think cucumber goes really well with anything, and I feel like cucumber and ginger ale were really good.
Yeah. That was a very unexpected combination that
Yeah,
we
and then
had.
I feel like we stuck to that combination for about a good time, a good
Yeah.
while.
Couple of More than a couple of times after that we like
Yeah,
made
yeah,
that. And like that mixer was in my room. I
for a
didn't
while,
wash it for like a long
long
time.
time, until you realize, okay, it's time, and then you have
Yeah,
to.
we need to
There
use
is
it again.
no
Yeah.
going away with it. Yeah, and I remember like we used to get popcorn or chips,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and then we used to add peri peri spice to the entire thing to
Oh
spice
yeah.
it up, and we ate that while you were teaching me calculus. I mean, like the harder part of calculus, or and then I call that session maths without tears because it started with tears of fear
Yeah.
and of math, and then it ended with
And it
me
ended
with
quite nicely. Yeah.
ended quite nicely. Ended with me and like completing, finishing, passing, like to an extent excelling in the math exam.
In Yes, I remember. Also, on the topic of peri peri, we should
Right.
let people know how we carried peri peri.
Yes, yes, it's very important. Peri peri and
Szechuan chutney.
mirchi pickle, chili
Oh,
pickle.
mirchi pickle too.
Yes, that is completely and truly sourced from a very, very beautiful shop in Pune called Agras. So the great grandmothers of Konkan make that chili pickle, and then we carry it to uni. And I think almost for the first 2 weeks of spring semester, I used to
Mhm.
carry that pickle in my bag, like
Yeah,
in,
just yeah.
because I used to mix it with chicken congee, and I really
Yeah.
liked it. And then after a while, I realized that okay, maybe I'm not taking enough care of the chili pickle because the oil is now leaking in my bag,
Leaking.
and now my bag smells like somebody just fried a bunch of chilies in oil and
Yeah.
added salt to it. And it had a huge oil patch too, which I could
Mhm.
see very clearly. And I was scared that it's going to start putting all of the oil on, like staining my
Yeah.
shirts, which
Mhm.
did not happen, fortunately. But this is exactly how we carry our spices to the dining
And
hall,
you just carry it around everywhere because
everywhere.
and you put that shit on everything. It's
Yes,
a tagline for
exactly.
some brand. I don't know what.
Kea, Kea peri peri
What's this
spice.
Pete?
Hmm?
Yeah.
It's
Kia Peri Peri
beautiful.
is like
I
the
think it
box is
deserves
always
so
in our
much
bags.
attention, love, and
Hmm.
care. It has literally saved our taste buds.
Yeah, so many times.
And I remember, like on Thursdays, like they used to serve chicken tenders, late night chicken
Yeah.
tenders,
Yeah.
which combined with peri peri spice and then
So good.
ranch and southwest mayo were just amazing. And then but before that, so what we used to do is we used to go to the gym, then we used to have
Mhm.
dinner. I mean, we used
Yep.
to go to the gym a little late, and then we used to come back towards 9ish or
Yeah.
8:30ish. is to have dinner and then wait for them to start serving chicken tenders. So
Chicken tenders.
which means that the peri peri spice also traveled to the gym every
Gym,
Thursday
yeah.
and then
It
stayed
did,
there in
yes.
our lockers because it
For
wouldn't
quite
fit
some
in,
time.
yeah, because it wouldn't fit into our pockets, like our jacket pockets. It
Yeah.
wouldn't.
It wouldn't, and it'll be like weird to carry
Yeah,
around.
to carry it around.
It's weird to carry it around in your bag as well,
Yeah, but
but it's better in the bag.
we've carried weirder things in our pockets. We've carried bananas.
Oh, bananas.
We've carried
We also stuff, yeah,
vanilla
we
soya
also stuff the chicken tenders in the cups as well.
cups,
Like,
and then we carried those cups in our pockets. We also carried like pizzas in those cups.
yeah,
Like we've carried
pizzas
a
in
lot of
cups.
things in those cups.
Yeah, everything is in the cups.
Right.
Most versatile in the entire world, and everyone does that. Like, everyone
Yeah,
just,
everybody does.
I call it stealing, but it's not
it's
stealing,
not
but like
stealing. It's your right. It's actually your
everyone does it.
exactly. And I
The
feel like
students have already overpaid for the amount of food that we are getting.
yes, and hence you
It
should
is
make the most of
lagging.
it. It is right. Yeah,
You should,
but
yeah.
I feel like my bond with you got like I realized that okay, this is like I trusted you obviously, and like you were one of my closest friends, and now you're one of my bestest friends and favorite people. This is a compliment,
Oh,
take it. You know how
I
to pay
will.
me. Yes.
Yes, I do know how to pay you.
Yes. And then but I
The
remember
viewers
like
can be
the
just clueless. They don't know how to pay you. The
yeah,
viewers are
they don't
clueless.
know. They don't know. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah, when uni starts, you know.
yeah.
So, but I remember like the first week when college started, I think it was a Wednesday, and I was
Mhm.
really homesick. So I realized that okay, if I'm this homesick, I can't stay in my room because it'll just get worse. So I went out and I started
Yeah.
running. And I started running, and then after a good 45 minutes, I realized okay, like tears are coming now. So and then I was supposed to have dinner with some of my friends. I told them, listen,
Mhm.
I'm done with my dinner, you guys continue. And then secretly through the other entrance of Worcester, I came in,
Yeah.
and then I found out like the most coziest, the most isolated corner in the Asian
Mhm.
section, and then I was eating my stir fry. And then I was like slightly crying, eating, crying, eating, figuring out a
Mhm.
way to eat while I can't see what I'm eating.
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
and then I saw you coming, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna see me crying, and I don't know if I want that right now.
Mhm.
When you came and you sat in front of me, and you're like, okay, why are you crying? And I'm like, I'm not crying. While I was crying, and you're like, why are you crying?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not crying. And after a good 15 minutes of back and forth, like I told you, I'm slightly homesick, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's when I think we got even closer. The running thing
Mhm.
reminds me of another story.
Oh.
So the running thing reminds me of another running
Mhm.
story, which in hindsight was a really bad decision that I made. Um,
Yes.
but it was obviously because I got excited. Like I saw the Orchard Hill, then I saw a beautiful green patch of grass on it and a beautiful slope, and I was like, it would really
Yes.
be a waste of my energy and time if I don't start running on it, or if I don't do agility drills on that day. So which is what I did. But the issue was like the temperature outside was -2 degrees Celsius.
It was colder than that.
It was cold. It was -4. I remember because I
Yeah.
started because it started well. Okay. I was very excited. Body was warming up. Like
Mhm.
everything was nice.
Yeah.
Like I love the wind. I was on a flimsy t-shirt. Like I was like, I'm gonna do this. And then I found a place where I placed all of my jacket,
Mhm.
skis, water bottle, everything, the peri peri spice, because we were supposed to have
Yes, which
chicken tenders after that. Like everything was placed, and then I started running uphill, which was good. And then like after about 15 minutes, I'm like, okay, hands are not moving. Nose is
yeah.
slightly red, nose is
Mhm.
slightly paining also, head is
Yes.
hurting,
Yours are paining also.
ears are paining, ears are ridiculously red at this point, like
Yeah.
tears are also coming for reasons I don't know. And then after that I realized like, okay, this is when I
Mhm.
need to stop, because snot had started to freeze. Like
Yeah.
that was the severity of the situation.
Yeah.
But I was still excited. Like I was like, okay, experiences, new experiences. So I started
Yeah.
sending.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Like, I was
course.
done with my workout, and I'm like the
Hmm.
last. So since like for everybody to know the distance or like in time from the Orchard Hill or the slope to Worcester, which is where we were supposed to have dinner, was a good
Hmm.
7 to 8 minutes. Like if you were running, it was going to take you 7 to 8 minutes to
Yeah.
reach Worcester. And so this is what I thought, and I had picked out a song in my head, which I was going to play, and then run to that song and then come to Worcester. And then I
Mm.
started doing that, and I realized, okay, because of the cold, my knees are also paining. I might have a frostbite. And then when I saw you, I was redder than a tomato, and you were very
Yeah.
visibly worried.
I was
And
like, Pew, you're red. This is not good.
this is not
Not
good.
the color you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it was like a concerning amount of red.
Yeah, and then when we
It
went
was,
inside, like everything was still okay when we were outside, but when we entered
yeah.
Worcester, and then obviously things are warm inside, that is when shit went down. Because because that is when like water started coming out of everywhere. Like literally
Yes.
everywhere. And then I
Everything starts thawing. So
yeah, thawing, yeah, which was frozen. And then it was like, you know what happens is like when like the defrosting
yes.
process of like your hand or any body part is
Yeah.
really painful. So if you're
It
in
is
extreme
painful, yeah.
cold, and then when you enter a place that's warm, it hurts. It
Warm.
hurts like hell.
It hurts. And you're just like,
No, please stop. And that
please
is what
stop.
started
Like,
happening. And I like always panicked. And I started getting anxious.
yes.
I'm like, okay, what is happening? This is not how I want to die. This is not.
You're
This is
not,
not
you're
it.
not going to die.
This is not it. So I started FaceTiming my parents, and started telling them this is what I did. This is what is happening. What do I do? And then my father just looks at me and starts laughing. He's like, okay, just pop a vitamin C. I don't know. You figure it out. And but it's okay.
Okay.
Like the next
It
day I
wasn't
did.
like dying bad. It was painful bad, but it
It
wasn't
was
dying
yeah,
bad.
but it is also my panic reaction to
Yeah.
those things. And then but eventually it was okay, and eventually I learned how to not
Yeah.
that you should not run when it's -4 degrees
Yes.
outside
Yes, you
because
should
you
not.
can barely
Also, was that the day when you were too cold and then we had to like warm the insides
was
with
it
four? Wasn't that
no,
day?
it wasn't that day. It was the day of the storm. Like
It
we
was the
were
day of
in
the
your
storm,
room
right?
and
Yeah.
we were just like, okay, this is it. When I was staring at my hand.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was the like, oh.
Yeah, and then i
Yeah,
think i
yeah.
think i think we just went all out that day. And
That day to is like khatam.
yeah, it was also one of the plans that I made too. Like I made
Yeah.
it too. I think I've
One
made
of
it
the
to all
only
of our
plans.
one of the only plans. I think I've made it to all of our impromptu plans. I never
Yes.
make it to our planned plans.
Okay. So I don't know. So I understand you need to sleep.
Yes.
Very justified in wanting to sleep. I understand. I love sleeping myself, but
Don't
all
make
the
plans.
time,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, if don't make plans at times and you know you want to sleep, and it's always at that time.
I
Like every
know.
time, like Amod, I'm actually very sleepy. मतलब खूप झोप येती है. Let's do tomorrow, no?
Huh.
And then tomorrow also it's at the same
मला
time
झोप येते
when you know you're going to sleep again.
See, the thing is, ki I am used to a very beautiful bedtime of 9:30, right? And what
Which is
happens?
not a college person's bedtime.
I know. So what happens is most of our plans start after 9:30.
9:30. Yes.
So there are really good days when I make it to 9:45,
Yes,
and
there
that is
are.
when
Yes.
that is when we have fun. And there are days
Mhm.
when I am in my bed asleep, looking at my fairy lights, FaceTiming my mother from one side because it's a rule. Na? We have to call them twice a day. Otherwise, they
Yeah, yeah.
how will their life move?
See, it becomes like slightly less strict as time goes along. I only
Yeah.
call them like once in 2 days.
No,
Even
but
now
it's
that I'm home, I only talk to them once in 2 days. It's fine.
no with like in my case, I have FaceTime duties not just with my parents, but my other
Yes.
four grandparents who don't
And the
understand like
best friends.
and the best friends, of course.
Yes.
So who don't understand like best friends understand the concept of time zone, right? They do,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm glad. But my
Yes.
grandparents like there is no concept of time zone. So on Sundays there are days when my grandfather calls me at 5:30 a.m. like our 5:30 a.m. and
Oh yeah.
expects me to pick up. Like if I don't pick up, it's he takes it as an ego threat. And then to make up for it, he keeps calling me 7 times in a row until I pick up.
Oh God.
Fortunately, I've learned to put my phone on airplane mode on Sundays so that he doesn't call me on like he doesn't call me at
You should.
5:30 a.m. Like one would wonder like your grandfather who lives with
Hmm.
his wife alone in Bombay, also an
Hmm.
uncle, but like sorry, like
Yeah.
who
It's
lives
like forgot.
yeah, forgot. But who also doesn't understand the concept of time zones, by the way. He just calls me when he's
Yeah.
excited. And
And
then
he stayed there too.
he stayed there too. He lived there
Kaka
for a
has
good
stayed there.
yeah,
He's
he
been
stayed there.
on your side too.
Yes, on the East Coast in the same time zone for 10 years. You would expect him to understand.
Yes.
But I remember like one day when it like I was in no space and
Yeah.
condition to wake up at 5:30 on a Sunday because
Mhm.
I went off to sleep 30 minutes before that, right?
Yes.
Just give me a minute. I'm going to save this recording. I will edit this. Huh. So I was absolutely in no physical condition to get up 30 minutes after I went to bed, which is when he called me. And then I was like, okay, fine. Like maybe that's something that he really wants to talk about. So
Must
after
be
the
important,
fifth,
huh?
yeah, after the fifth call, I did pick up the sixth call, right? And
Yeah.
then what happens is like because everybody else is also asleep, I had to go outside. So generally, I take all
Yeah.
of my calls at 5:30 a.m. when he calls, like in the fire exit. Like I sit on the
Right, huh?
steps and then I take the call. And then I started talking to him and he's like, oh, you know what I made for dinner today? And I'm like, is this something that you call your granddaughter who stays a good 9.5 hours
Yes.
ka
Time zone
difference
wise.
away
Huh.
to say, hey, you know what I cooked? So I got really
Send
upset.
a picture. Same
Send a
emotion.
picture which I will look at after a good 8 hours of sleep or
Yeah.
my 3 p.m. So but but it's yeah. But I feel like they also learn with time and as do we.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
It happens. But
yeah,
like there's times when they'll will like at one point you expect them to get used to it, but
they don't.
they'll call in my evening and be like, "Arey, what did you have? Like, are you having breakfast now?" I'm like, "No, it's dinner time. It's your breakfast time. It's my dinner time. We've been through this 2 years."
Yeah. And then for some reason my father loves to discuss my meals. So every time I generally call him when I'm eating
We're
something.
eating, yeah,
Yeah. So he does, oh, you know what you should do? You don't have this today. I'm like, but I want to have that. So we spend about 15 minutes quarreling over what I want to eat versus what I should eat.
yeah.
But
And at the end of nowadays, I'm just like, great, good
yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, great, good opinion. May or may not consider it and or take it.
Exactly.
But I'm really looking forward to our next semester. We don't know when that
Oh
is.
yeah, we don't know when
Hopefully,
that is.
like I know both of us are really praying to all the gods out
Mm-hmm.
there and all the
Yes,
energies, spiritual realms, come like whatever you may have. We're praying to
yes.
we're praying to at this point like yeah, inanimate or
We're
everything.
praying to the one and only God, Subbaswamy,
Yeah, Subbaswamy, yes. Who's our
Lord
chancellor,
and
by the way?
Savior
Lord
Subbaswamy.
Subbu.
Yes,
So
Subbu.
and I genuinely hope we make it to fall 2020
Yeah.
so that we can do all of this again and even better things.
Yes. Yes. On an
And
emptier campus this time, hopefully.
yeah, so
Oh
let's
my God.
yeah, it'll be I think
Hmm?
it'll be fun. You know what? I think I think we'll have to come up with like more indoor activities. I realized we never played cards as a group or just with
Yeah,
people in general. I feel like we should do that.
we should. Like, I have Uno and stuff there. It's
Yeah,
still there. Like, I
it's
didn't
still
bring it
there.
back, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But I think
we
yeah,
can do
I
that.
think this
Yeah.
semester will be different. I hope that we get to go
Hmm.
so that we can go to the gym and have those smoothies, which you never had.
What? I've had gym smoothies.
But you never had with me. We were always supposed to have the blueberry and
Oh, right. Yeah,
coconut
you didn't
ones.
have a smoothie together. Yeah,
Yeah, I
never.
think I think we were always
We planned
late.
like 3, 4 times and the thing
Yeah,
was
we were
late. Yeah,
always late.
closed.
Yeah, it's okay. This time, this semester. There's always a
Hota hai.
semester.
Yeah.
Yes. How do you want to end this conversation? Because I'm not
I
used
don't
to
know.
ending it formally. Like I'm used to saying,
How do you
"Hey,
end it usually?
oh, with like really important people, Amod, I
Huh.
I ended with like, thank you so much for
It was an
joining me on
honor
this.
talking to
It
you.
was an honor talking to you.